Driving alone at night, even after midnight, had never been a problem for me until that night. I was driving back from a friend's housewarming party. It was around midnight and there were hardly any cars on the road. I wasn't familiar with the area because it was a newly constructed housing estate and found myself kind of lost. I stopped my car at the side of the road to double check the directions on my phone when suddenly I was jolted by a car crash. My baby had an accident. Please hurry up. I need a ride to the nearest hospital, please. She's bleeding. My heart sank. I could hear her baby wailing from a distance. I assured the mother not to worry. We'll get her to the hospital on time. I got out of the car in panic and followed the woman. Please hurry up as we went deeper and deeper into the woods. I could hear the baby crying louder and louder. Please hurry up. We're nearly there. I was following her in panic when suddenly my leg was badly scratched by a tree branch. I stopped for a minute to check if my leg was open, but then I lost sight of the woman. Hey, hello, hello. I couldn't see the woman anywhere. All I could hear was the baby crying. It seemed that she was nearby. I started searching for them, but I couldn't locate her anywhere, so I went looking for something else. In a panic, I began sprinting towards my car, hearing footsteps behind me. I raced as fast as I could for my life. I had left the car unlocked, so I quickly sat inside and closed the doors, but I couldn't find the car keys. I was terrified. I dropped them while running in panic. What happened to you losing your car keys? Let me go retrieve them for you. I grabbed my phone and hurriedly dialed 911. I was waiting impatiently for the cops to arrive, and the woman was nowhere to be found. When I saw the woman approaching my car with the car keys a few minutes later, my pulse started racing. As soon as she heard the sirens, she fled. The police were unable to locate the woman, as if she had vanished into thin air. I was brought home safely that night. I was so happy to have survived that night from that crazy woman. That incident taught me never to trust any stranger, and I will never drive alone that late at night again. This happened when I was in college, shortly after my freshman year had ended. I was driving back home for the summer, which was quite far away. The school that I went to was about a 10-hour drive from home. I had hoped to make it home in one day, but things did not go as smoothly as I would have liked. I didn't have too much stuff and could fit it all in my car. Just fine, but my exams finished a little bit earlier than expected, and I had the thought to leave just right then. I didn't really like my roommate that much, so I thought the sooner I left, the better. I left that day. Instead of waiting until the next, the drive was really long, but mostly just on motorways. By the time it was 10 o'clock at night, I found myself with still 3 more hours to drive. That's when I didn't have much money as a college student and hadn't started my summer job yet. So I felt it wouldn't be a huge deal if I slept for a few of hours in my car. I'm not very big and I could almost stretch out in the back. I typed a search for rest area into my phone. I was hoping for a rest stop soon, and happily there was one just a mile up the road. I did my best to remain awake until then, and I opened my windows. I turned up the radio and drank some water, neither of which seemed to assist me much, but I made it. What I saw instead was a very quiet and small rest area with just a little building that was probably just bathrooms and a couple of vending machines. There were only about 3 other cars parked along the long line of parking spaces. I drove down to the Farron and parked my car. I was facing a small grassy area, and beyond that was surrounded by woods. This area was kind of creepy to me, but I was far too tired to really care that much. Most of my things were in the trunk or my front passenger seat, but I did have a few bags of clothes in the back seat. I took a few pieces of clothing and covered the windows, but was unable to cover the front window. So I took a blanket and made a wall by hanging it over the front seats. When I was finished doing that, I laid down and fell asleep almost immediately. My original plan had been to sleep for just a few hours. I didn't set an alarm or anything, but sleeping in the car, I figured I wouldn't be asleep for very long. I remember when I woke up, it was still dark out. I leaned over to the window closest to my head, which was the back seat driver's side. When I looked out, I didn't see anything. I heard footsteps and they sounded like they were on the other side of my car. So I moved over to look out that side. When I looked out that side, I saw there was only one other car in the parking lot and the rest stop at the far end. I saw someone walk by the front end of my car from behind the blanket I had put up now. My heart started racing. There wasn't really a reason why somebody would be walking by my car all the way at this end of the rest stop. Closed my eyes and was completely still. Then there was a knock at my driver's window. I almost jumped up, but I didn't. I stayed there and was silent. All I wanted was whoever was there to go away. After they knocked, I tried not to look out the window, but then saw a man jump right in front of it. I didn't get a good look at him, but he was right next to my car and it was terrifying. I started up the engine, and as soon as my car was running, I put it in reverse and backed up. When I did, the man started running alongside of me. I put the car in drive and sped away back onto the road. The man was unable to reach me again. I was driving home from work one night, taking my usual route home. I got out at midnight, so it was probably 12:15-ish. At this point, my town is pretty quiet and boring, a lot of woods everywhere, and not a lot of people or houses. I was on this road, not far from my house, with a cornfield on one side and a patch of woods on the other. It was midsummer and like 75 degrees. So I had my convertible top down. He was cruising down the street, going like 50, when I heard a loud, blood-curdling woman scream come from one side of the road, but I couldn't tell which one. I slammed on the brakes and listened for a woman's cry from the left side of the woods, crying for help. I got out of my car and grabbed the baton from my back seat. I walked towards the woods and called back who was out there, and the woman immediately called back, "Please help me." I began to run into the woods, swiping all the twigs and bushes out of my way. I yelled out to the woman to keep screaming, so I'd approach in that direction, screaming back, but soon realized that no matter how far into the woods I went, the woman's yells didn't seem to get any closer or louder. If anything, they were always the same distance, even though I was booking it straight in the direction of the screams. I screamed out, "Tell me where you are," and about 5 seconds later, the woman screamed out help once more. I came to a halt because I felt like I was walking into some kind of trap. So I turned around and started running back in the direction I came until I could see the flashing headlights of my car on the side of the road beyond the trees. The whole way back, I still heard the woman's screams, but they were the same distance, no matter how close I got to my car, as if she was following me back. Was I being followed? I got in my car and drove out of there, completely freaked out. I called 911 to report it to the authorities in case they wanted to investigate it. I wasn't going to stay there because I was tired after telling a few friends and family about the strange encounter. I saw something on the news that made me sick to my stomach. The dead corpse of a 30-something-year-old lady was discovered in the woods by a man hiking with his dog. Strangely, there were no signs of foul play, and the spot where the body was discovered was the same general area where I heard about it. Thanks for you watching, and hope you like the stories.